Hello, everybody. Dr. Adam Smith from Ultimate Bariatrics here. If you're tuning in to this Facebook Live to get relevant nutritional information or surgical information or practice information, just skip this one. Uh, the title of this one is I guess, to sum it up, is get to know your doctor. Now, I'm the guinea pig on this, so I'm stepping out on a limb, but I'm going to encourage the other doctors in the practice to do one of these as well. Because when you come see us, you're not just getting a technician or a plumber or electrician or this. You're getting a part of us, a part of who we are, why we do what we do, how we do what we do. And we all come from different backgrounds and different things. And so I don't know, this might be the most boring thing to you in your whole life, but I'm going to do a little bit of a limited self history here. I mean, all of this stuff is on the website. You can look it up. I mean, I'm sure you can Yelp or Wikipedia or do whatever to find out everything I've ever done in my whole life. But I'm going to give a short synopsis of where I came from and where I am and why I do what I do and where I think I'm going as a person, as a surgeon, as a doctor, and where I think the practice is going. So this might be a little bit lengthy, and it's going to not help you in your weight loss journey in any way, shape, or form. So forgive me for the casual nature of this. I took the afternoon off. So I'm ultra cash, and that's how Chris talked me into doing this. So I, so here I am. I was born in Oklahoma, small town in Oklahoma, Ardmore, Oklahoma. I was the youngest of four boys. Went to public school, graduated Ardmore High, went to University of Oklahoma. Um, uh, was actually a geology major there, and but that's when my involvement in volunteerism probably started. No, that's not true. I was a Boy Scout, so I've always been a joiner. I've always been someone that contributed to organizations. I was a member of the Boy Scouts. I was a member of something called the Order of Demolay. I was active in different things, and actually, my parents always thought I'd be a lawyer because I talked too much, but I guess that didn't work out so good, and so I went the other direction. So uh, I was involved at an early age in a lot of things, played the piano, did music and drama and theater and things like that. And then I got to OU and I stayed involved. I was active in campus activity. I was actually directed something called Sooner Scandals one year, which is a big variety show that all the different groups compete in, and was a member of the Campus Activities Council. So I started staying involved there and then went to medical school. And that was culture shock. Let me tell you, going from being a geologist to going to medical school. Everyone else were biology majors and chemistry majors and this kind of major, and I had to learn all the stuff from scratch, which was quite a culture shock, but loved every minute of it. And there I got involved early on there. Member of the Student Osteopathic Medical Association. I actually served as its president during my course of studies there in Tulsa at the Oklahoma State University College of Osteopathic Medicine. And then, while I graduated, what am I going to do with my life? I came to do my surgical training here in Fort Worth, actually. I was originally going to be a primary care doctor, either that or something similar. I had a brief flirtation with obstetrics, and I'm glad I didn't do that. But so I did a family practice internship in Tulsa for a year until I decided I wanted to do surgery and came down here to Fort Worth and did my surgical training. At the end of my surgical training, out on a limb, we really didn't have fancy fellowships back then where you had specialty training in laparoscopic surgery because it was a new art. We didn't have fellowships in bariatric surgery. It was kind of a relatively obscure and new field. So out of the blue, at the end of my training, I actually called somebody up in Omaha, Nebraska, and I said, I want some more training in this new laparoscopic stuff. can I come work with you? And they said, well, we don't have a program. I said, I don't need a program. I'll work for free. I'll do whatever you want me to do if you'll just let me work with you enough to where I feel like I'm confident and comfortable to do this stuff. And voila, it happened. Lived in a guy's basement with two red bone hounds, which was quite interesting while I was doing my training there. And then started practice. Practiced in Oklahoma City a couple years, and then I came back to where my heart is. And as soon as I got to Fort Worth, I guess I had a feeling that my heart would always belong here in Fort Worth, and here I've been since 1988. So when I started my training, there were three people that were big mentors to me in my training. The first one was my hometown doctor. His name is James Turrentine. He's still living. He's older than Methuselah, but he's still in great shape and he's still alive. And he's the one that talked me into going into medical school. I lived near my parents and they were friends, and he talked me into it, or at least he helped me along the road. And he served his whole life. He never quit working. He volunteered for the state association. He volunteered for any organization you could volunteer for. He did it. He and his wife have been great benefactors of our community back home as well as in the state of Oklahoma. Uh, Second mentor would be Dr. W.R. Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins is the one that took a chance on this kid from Oklahoma that was down here in Texas over his head wanting to be a surgeon. And he took me in and agreed to train me. And of course, I had many good trainers, but he was the primary original trainer. And he told me, he said, whatever you do during the course of your career is you have to always give something back. You have been blessed. You are fortunate to have this opportunity to do the greatest job in the whole world. And surgery is the absolute greatest job in the whole world. I get so excited to go to work every day. You know, I've been doing this for years and years and years and years. And everyone says, when are you going to retire? It's like the day I die, because I don't know what I would do without this awesome job. So he said, you have to give back. And I saw that from afar and watched him. He served in our specialty profession. He served in our state association. He served locally. He was a very active member in his church community. You know, he was just a giver. He was someone that gave of himself. And in return, he was richly rewarded by the respect of others and the appreciation of others. I had other trainers as well, but I don't want to make this too terribly long. You know, each trainer had their imprint on me. I had a trainer, Dr. Buchanan, great technical surgeon, and still a good friend, had an imprint. Dr. Stone, he equally had his footprint on me. Dr. Wallace and several others, Dr. Pesca and many others, and friends along the way had a big footprint on me that helped me mold. But all of them led by example, and they gave parts of themselves in different ways and in different service. So my initiation into service started uh, actually as a resident. And I was not someone that liked to write papers or do things. I just was more of a worker bee uh, as a surgical resident. But I was encouraged to do multiple presentations. And so I got to go to a couple national meetings and give presentations, which got me all excited. And as soon as I started practice, I was invited to participate in my specialty college. I started out at the very bottom writing exam questions for something called the in-service exam. When you're a resident, every year you get to take this little written test that's called the in-service exam that measures you against all the other residents in the country. And it's not a test that you pass or fail per se, but if your program has low scores, guess what? They get a little scrutiny. So that exam was in need of some rebooting and stuff, and they wanted some young blood because the death knell of all organizations is a bunch of old guys trying to decide what to do. So you always want young people in there. And they brought me in, and I got really excited and helped create the test for a couple of years. And then all the old guys quit, and I was stuck with running the thing. Did that for about 10 years. Um, and then I really got involved in evaluation. So I became a member of our certification board in general surgery and served there for a few years. and loved it. I mean, I liked being on the giving end of a board exam a lot better than I like being on the receiving end of a board exam, let me tell you. But writing the questions is a lot more fun than answering them. But I really enjoyed that. And then after a few years of that, I was invited to join what is called the governing board. So in our profession, there's a split of responsibilities. Over here, you have the certification board. They're responsible for testing students, residents, and doctors to make sure that they're keeping current, that they have the basic fundamental knowledge to pass an exam that encompasses everything we do. Over here, the governing board, they're more of the political side that kind of sets policy, develops curriculum by which this board tests, oversees residency programs, and oversees the overall welfare of our profession. So I served on that board for about 13 years and eventually finished up as president of our specialty society. I did that in 2013. So that took an enormous amount of time. So early in my career, people that were saying, well, Dr. Smith wasn't there when I did my follow-up. Well, I was probably in Chicago or Washington, D.C. at some meeting, sitting there watching someone tell me how to do things. But I did that because I wanted to leave our profession better than it was when I started. Time will tell whether I was successful in that goal or not, but I like to think that I had a little bit of imprint on what we did. So spent many, many years, many nights in hotels in Chicago and Washington, D.C. and other parts of the country formulating policy, trying to see how we each can make ourselves better. Part of our oath when we graduated was a commitment to lifelong learning, a commitment to life, a commitment to excellence, and a commitment to service. So I felt I took that seriously and done that. And as a spinoff, and it wasn't my goal, but as a reward for that, I've been honored with a few awards. One of which was called the Oral Martin Award, which is the highest award our specialty college gives for a lifetime of service. And I'm not bragging on myself. I'm just saying this is what, when you come in the office and you see posters on the wall, that's what some of these things are. Because number one, they're big and they don't fit in the house. And I have all these big walls. But number two, actually, I'm kind of proud that I served all those years doing those things. But the most recent thing, and this is what spurred this conversation today, was our college has created a new designation. Um, when you get in practice, you join our specialty society. And after a period of time, if you've gone to meetings, you've published a little bit, you've done the thing you're supposed to do. Serve your community, serve your church, serve your specialty, serve your state organization, serve your national organization. You get a certification called fellow, the fellow of the American College of Osteopathic Surgeons. You have to be recommended, you have to be voted on. And in the old days, which is quite funny, if one guy in your neighborhood didn't like you, he could make it not happen. We got rid of that. That wasn't fair. We got rid of that when I was first on the board. Um, but now they've created a new designation, and that's what all this hubbub is about, is for those of us with gray hair that are really old and there's nothing left for them to do with us, they've created a new designation called Distinguished Fellow of the American College of Osteopathic Surgeons. And our first class was to be inducted here next month in California and San Diego. Unfortunately, because of fires and COVID and Armageddon going on in the community, we're not able to do that. But they still allowed us to announce to our friends and family, who I consider you to be a part of, that we have been a member of that inaugural class. I'm also excited. One of my dear friends, Dr. Yarbadi at TCOM, is also in the inaugural classes, as well as many of my friends that I served on the board with all those years and are scattered throughout the country. So that's a lot about me. I'm not trying to be arrogant or pat myself on the back or something, but a lot of times, and I'm not doing as much as I used to. But a lot of times when you come in, you will see one of the other surgeons, and the chances are that's because I still have trouble saying no, and I still occasionally get invited to go at least put my comment or my stamp on policy making things, whether it's the American Osteopathic Association, the College of Surgeons, Board of Surgery, or whatever it is. Uh, when I'm asked, I still volunteer. And so I apologize if I don't see you every single solitary time, but let you know I'm thinking about you. I'm acting as your advocate because by making our profession better, it makes your experience better. And that's the point of all of it. We all want to be better and we all want to leave this world a little bit better than we found it. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I'm an Okie. Uh, I'm part Native American. My grandmother was Chickasaw descent. Oh, I guess I'm Chickasaw descent. I'm a card carrying member of the tribe. Um, I love Texas, Oklahoma, and Southwestern culture. Uh, I love horses. I like hunting, but I don't do it because it occurs in bad weather. I love fishing. I mainly enjoy being outdoors. I mainly enjoy hanging out with people. Um, I'm an obnoxious people person, but I am a people person. Um, Boy, I don't know what else I can talk about. I love horses and horse racing. I like I like boats, but not necessarily the beach. I like golf, but I'm terrible at it. I love my family, my children, and my grandchildren, but mainly I love you guys, my patients. So that's it. Have a good